I don't know if it was 5, 6, or 7 years ago, but there was this notion, I think started by Pat Flynn, that was you should be everywhere on social media. Does that still hold water? And is that still the right strategy, especially for getting online coaching clients organically here in 2023? It's what we're talking about today in less than 1 minute. Welcome to the live recording of Client by Client, my daily podcast for online coaches looking to grow their online business without ads, big teams, or selling their soul. Glad to have you here. Cold Brew Gang, you know what to do if you're in the house. And when you're in the house, if you had your cold brew, drop some fire flames into the chat, whether you're here live or in the replay. And if you're new here, let me know by dropping new. And that way I can give you a hello and give you a welcome. I was surprised this morning to see a picture of Elon Musk rocking the same hat, the NASA Apollo hat, in a photo today. So I thought that was kind of funny. Had a little moment there. You know, me and Elon, we had the same style, same swag. Let's hop in and let's bring this to life before I go completely off the rockers. Hey, what's up? Jeremy here from whatupjeremy.com, back with another episode of Client by Client. Thank you so much for tuning in. In yesterday's episode, we talked about what might be hurting your ability to be landing coaching clients consistently. You're doing the content, right? You're working on your business. You're most definitely working in your business, but you're still struggling to get clients organically. Like something has to give. And I know for me in my online journey, it can be frustrating when something isn't going my way. And it can be frustrating whenever you're feeling like, number one, you need a cash injection, but number two, maybe you haven't had a new client in a little while. And so you're thinking, what's changed? What do I need to do? And so what I shared with you is really 3 long-term philosophies for what to be doing so that you can stop the struggle to be getting clients and instead start to have them flow towards you. This online coaching, this game of online coaching, so to say, it's a long one. And sometimes we get so zoned into the right now. And then other times we get so zoomed out into the bigger picture that we lose sight of the smaller, and more in the smaller, we lose sight of the bigger. And so I just share with you 3 things that you can really focus in on and start to do now that will make an impact on your organic client getting strategies and efforts. And then over a long period of time, when you think about 3, 5, 10 years, if you build your authority, which, spoiler, I'm going to share with you why you need to be doing that, why you might not be doing it as efficiently as you have been aiming to, and then how to make the client acquisition piece of your business just get easier the longer you stay in the game, so the game gets more fun and you just enjoy it more as you grow and as you grow your career. In today's episode, so be sure to track back 1 episode to check that one out. I think it's going to be important for you if getting clients has been a little bit tough, or you're not happy right now with how many that you're attracting in every single day, week, or month. In today's episode, I want to go a little bit back in time to a piece of advice that was very widespread when I think about the online entrepreneur and online business space about 5 years ago. And I don't hear it as popular these days because I think, I'm not going to spoil why I think that. We'll get into that here today. But it has died down just a little bit, but I still hear and see folks kind of pounding this drum of be everywhere. And so I want to just solve the debate for my online coaches, for you listening right now, so that you know how to best budget your attention and your energy. And so that getting clients organically continues to be easier. They continue to flow your way. So if you don't get today's episode right, there are 2 things that happen that I would really love for you to be able to avoid. The first thing that happens is that you wind up creating a full-time job making content that doesn't pay the bills. So to give a little background on Be Everywhere, it's the idea that you should, I probably should have done this a second ago. The idea of Be Everywhere is that you should be on every social media platform posting all of your content. And then when you think about the people who are saying that, the Pat Flynn's and the Gary V's of the world, it's really like, pump out 80 pieces of content a day across all of the platforms. And so now when we think about what happens if you don't get today's episode right, think about how much time it takes to make those 80 pieces of content. Think about how much time it takes to make one really good piece of content, because anybody can make content. Anybody can fire up Canva or the camera and make something, but for it to actually be valuable, and it actually is valuable to the market, is a different conversation. So the first thing that happens is that you wind up with a full-time job making content that doesn't pay the bills. And I'm speaking from it. I just spit everywhere. And I'm speaking from experience that content, good, valuable content that helps and people's lives and that attracts new clients in, it takes more time than you think. It always seems easier from the outside. It's always easier when you're watching whoever coach you follow. Maybe it's me, and you see content coming out. It always looks like that it's just a system that's pumping it out and it's very easy. But the reality is it takes a lot of time. And that time, I say all that to say this, that time spent in making the good content takes away from the prospecting. It takes away from you being responsive in your conversations and your DMs. It takes time away from sales calls. It takes time away from the things that generate money and that pay the bills. And so the first thing that happens is you wind up with a full-time job very quickly, which is one of the reasons I was so hesitant. You guys heard me. We're on episode 28 right now, but you guys heard me in the first couple episodes talk about how long it took me to actually put my foot down and say, okay, now it's time to actually start the podcast and to have a daily way, to show up beyond story and beyond, social media stuff for my long-term legacy. And I was very hesitant because in the past, before I really got serious about online coaching, I was still pumping out content because I saw the need long term to be doing that and building the quote unquote personal brand before I was even helping coaches. And what I wound up doing was I was spending all day making this content to keep my visibility up, but then I wasn't spending time actually creating clients and doing the things necessary that get people from stranger on the internet to prospect and to happy paying client. First thing that happens is you wind up with a full-time job making content and not actually attracting any clients and doing the things necessary to turn prospects into clients. The second thing that happens, and I know many of you have been in this situation, I have been in this situation, I want to prevent this for as many other people in my world as possible, is that you wind up wasting years on quote unquote business and you wind up with nothing to show for it. Yes, you have content. Yes, your ego feels good because maybe you have a couple followers and people double tap and like your stuff. But when you look at the bank account and when you think of your client roster, those things have not grown. And so what winds up happening is that you have to go back to the day job. You have to find ways to bring the money in, and then you have to leave that content and that dream and that vision behind. And when that happens, I think the world ends up a worse off place. Because people right now are, whether you know them or are aware of them or not, they are counting on you doing that inner work, that deep work, doing things in the right order at the right time for enough time so that you can become the kind of coach that helps them get out of whatever current or future struggles they're going through. They're praying for you and hoping that you continue doing the work necessary to make it happen. And so this means being very adamant about where you're putting your attention, where you're putting your time and your energy, because those things are finite. They are limited. So first thing that happens, you get a full-time job doing content and you're not making any money. Second thing that happens is you wind up doing that for years and you have nothing to show for it on the end of it. So now let's talk about a couple different aspects of this be everywhere thing. And I want to start by sharing and reminding you of my philosophy when it comes to social media and it comes to these platforms. One, I am very thankful to be alive in this current day and age. Whereas in the past, when you think about human history, when you think about like times where to get a message out, most people couldn't read, most people couldn't write, and to actually write and do symbols, you needed like actual stone tablet and to be hammering these things in. Like there was a point in time that's not that long ago when you zoom out in human history where that was the case, where like most people couldn't read, most people couldn't write, and when you did write something, it was tedious, it took a long time, and God forbid you had to make multiple copies. So I am very thankful to be alive in a time and in an era, an eon where with the stroke of a keyboard or with a click of a mouse, that your message and your broadcast, your voice, your video, your content has the ability to reach the masses. Now, with that also comes the duality, the double-edged sword that everyone has that ability. And so the reality of you going live once or making a piece of content going super viral and reaching the exact people that you're wanting that content to get to is very minute nowadays, and it's only getting harder and harder. In fact, when you think of TikTok, one of the newer platforms in the grand scheme of the social media game that's now kind of number one, if not number one, like people go on there and they're able to amass 10, 50, 100,000 subscribers relatively quickly. And so TikTok has actually kind of been one of those like prayers answered for a lot of people in many ways, and also an anomaly when it comes to modern day social media platforms. That if you're a celebrity, you immediately get special treatment and you immediately get to reach the masses because of the algorithm. You think of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, these platforms are now really hard to gain quick popularity on, whereas a TikTok, if you have something that's interesting, something that's entertaining, or something that is valuable and a way of delivering it, you can amass followers on there. We have all seen it. And so there is a variety of social media platforms. Most of them do not have the kind of virality TikTok has recently had when it comes to being the average user on there. And so I'm very thankful to be alive in a time and place where my message has the ability to reach the masses, but we're also competing with everybody else, meaning that your chances are actually the same, if not lower, of reaching the masses because there's never been more noise and more people using these platforms. Social media is now synonymous with the internet, right? So my belief is really honing in on the power of one, and that's no different than your social media platform. You guys have heard me talk about this when it comes to your offer, having one offer to a million, and my philosophy is the same when it comes to social media, is to focus on one platform for organically attracting in clients and for converting clients. And I'm going to restart that. So my belief, just like having one offer to scale to a million, is also focusing in on one social media platform to get to a million. And there's a couple of reasons why. One of the first reasons is because these platforms are always changing, right? And so when these things change, you have to be able to adapt, and you have to be able to adapt on the fly very quickly. And so I believe that you should be focusing on one platform to grow your notoriety, to really grow your audience, and to really define your message and to be sharing your message out on. And this really comes back to the concept of striking oil. If you want to strike oil, you have to dig 100 feet down into the earth. And so what most people do in that analogy is they walk around drilling 100 1-foot holes. So they're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Clubhouse, YouTube, LinkedIn, all of them that you can think of a name, and they never get that feeling of striking oil because they're spread so thin. They walk around drilling 100-foot holes every time a new platform comes up that they never really get to experience the fruit of their labors. And so what I would much rather have you do is the long game of drilling one 100-foot hole and building essentially a pipeline, very fitting for the analogy, where you can really depend on new people discovering you and current prospects being nurtured and becoming clients. Some of those people that you nurture are ready right now when they first find you for some help, and that's great. Make them offers. And don't stop making offers if they're not ready, but just understand that most people that come your way are going to be purchasing from you at earliest the next 2 weeks, but really over the next 2, 3, or 4 years. So it's a long game. And the more you spread yourself thin, the less your ability is to experience a kind of discoverability that comes with focusing in on one platform. Now, if you aren't savvy to it, my one platform is Facebook. And I do have Instagram, and I do have Snapchat, and I am on TikTok, and I have YouTube, and I have a podcast. Podcast, I guess, isn't really social media, but my focus starts all with Facebook. And yes, on Snapchat, I post some different content. You can follow me at WhatUpJeremy. I snap every single day, have for years now. Love Snapchat still. I love the creation aspect. And even though sometimes I will post my content first to Instagram so it syncs nicely over to the Facebook story and so that you can tap my links, there's a little hint for you, a little secret for you. My focus is on Facebook and the emphasis on my Facebook group. So I try to stay in the Facebook ecosystem. And there were years where I was really against Facebook and I wanted to be on Instagram, largely because of, Facebook has, or Instagram has a little bit more of the celebrity factor to it, and it has a little bit of the cool factor. But when you get over that and realize that your mission here is to impact lives and to get paid handsomely through it and live an epic life while you're doing it, I still think that Facebook is one of the best platforms. But the reality, that's for my business, my philosophy. For you, the best platform to be growing on is the one that you are focused in on, right? The best social media platform is the one where you're spending the most time and every single day showing up and digging just a little deeper to hit that 100 feet. And you will never have that experience if you're constantly going from platform to platform. So kind of thing number one for this episode when it comes to be everywhere is that first, I think that And I believe and I follow this and I teach this to my students is that you should really focus in on having one platform to 1 million and really just cut out all of the other distractions until you hit that $1 million cash collected. Dig that 100-foot hole, and then you can use that to then build your other social platforms as you go. And as you have the notoriety and as your bank account is taken care of, and as you're getting paid from the business, now you can actually go and leverage your resources and aim and direct that at other platforms to then drill another 100-foot hole. That's thing number one. Second, is that be everywhere is a little bit of an endless game. We have seen over these last 10, 15 years now, social media platforms come and we have seen them go. I think back to the days of Periscope and Meerkat, and then I think about this like 5 to 7 year gap, and then Clubhouse came out, and then like, where's Clubhouse now? And while it's still an app, and while you can still use it, is it as popular as something like Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or YouTube? They're just not. And so there's some platforms that are now the big buildings on the street. These are now like the skyscrapers. And then there's like small businesses that are inside of those skyscrapers or that are a little bit more down the street. Not that any of these are wrong to use, but really it's going to be about where you put your time and attention is going to grow that thing. And the more you spread it out and the more you're chasing new platforms as they emerge, the harder it gets to actually, drill that 100-foot hole, guys. The longer it actually takes you to have a platform that you can rely on. And you may not have considered until this point, until I just said that you need a platform that you can rely on. Right? It's like having a good friend. You never know that you had a good friend or that you need a good friend until a moment came where they were actually there for you. And it's like, gosh, I'm so glad I invested time and went through the hard times. And even though we had our back and forth and we both aren't perfect people, I'm so glad that I was able to work through that because this person really came through for me. It's kind of the same with the platform and with social media, is that you want a platform you can rely on. And so every time you go to a new platform and you start spending more time there, or maybe you don't have a platform, a social media platform that you're focused on right now, and you're going to these different ones, you're posting everywhere, you might not know that that's causing you and your results to be inconsistent. That's making it really hard for you to create the kind of awareness in your audience and in your marketplace that starts to get prospects coming to you, making the hunt for clients way less and far easier, and making it therefore easier for you to grow. You need a platform that you can rely on, and that's going to take you 1, 2, 3 years minimum to really get this kind of effect. You can experience this effect the first week you start to focus in on it, but over the long term, it gets better and better, and most are just so distracted by every new platform coming out that they never get one social media platform that's sending them new leads and new clients every day and week. And so be everywhere is really an endless game that doesn't necessarily help your business. So while I would recommend getting your username and your brand on these new platforms when they launch, I would also implore you to give yourself permission to not need to focus there or figure it out. There are a lot of people that get obsessed about this, right? When a new platform comes out, everyone rushes to it. Some of the people who weren't as popular on an existing platform, they can gain some notoriety and some popularity. But then what you'll notice a few months later, if not sooner, they're no longer on that platform because it died out. The hype went away. The growth slowed down. It's not nearly as viral as the exception of TikTok as a platform. And so now they're either back to whatever social media platforms they were growing already, or they are still as confused and delusional and still going from platform to platform or trying to be everywhere. It's an endless game, and it doesn't help you get consistent revenue or clients when you're below that 15 to 30K a month mark. So be everywhere is an endless game. You need to be aware of that and play your cards appropriately. Get the username when a new platform comes out, but maybe don't make it your newfound passion or your new muse to figure out and try to gain your popularity on there and become a celebrity, because that motive is now taking away from actually your God-given, your soul-driven mission and purpose, which should change lives, right? This show is called Client by Client because lives are changed one by one. And when you can help one person, it's about just starting to scale that. And I would implore you to focus on one platform to do that so that you can experience that compound effect. Before we get into thing number 3, if you're getting value from this, be sure to hit subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to check out a couple other episodes, and you can always send me a DM on Instagram. This is where I do most of my actual like messaging back and forth. You can send me a message there at What Up Jeremy. I do respond. And on Facebook is most of our like lead generation and where most of our clients come to us because of our group, but things can get really kind of jumbled up there in the inbox sometimes. And so if you're a listener of the show, you can always send me a DM at What Up Jeremy and let me know just if the show is valuable or what's standing out most, or of course, any questions that you have. Lastly, I think there is a time and place to be posting your content on the other platforms. And so I want to tell you what my coach Taki Moore told me, which is wait until you hit a certain revenue mark, and then there is a strategy that you can use. And so my advice to you, I'm going to modify it a little bit because you guys are a little different than I'm going to modify this slightly for you listening today, that if you're below 15K a month, hit 15K a month for a minimum of 3 months, and then your strategy will be copy and paste. And so you can start to do what I do, which is I make content on Facebook. Even right now, while you're experiencing this show in audio form and podcast, I streamed this a week and a half earlier. Today is May 11th on Facebook and to other platforms because that's just a button that I can press and go live on all the platforms. And then it gets repurposed into my podcast content. And it gets repurposed into images and into quotes and into all these other things and into emails and written form and little clips and things like that. But everything starts on Facebook, and I make this on Facebook, and then it gets repurposed into all these other things. And yes, it goes to Instagram in clips and other things. So once you hit 15K a month, 3 months in a row, my advice to you, which was given to me, is to copy and paste. Take everything you're doing. Maybe you're like me and your platform is Facebook. Take everything you're doing on Facebook and just simply copy and paste it to Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and to other places. Don't worry about it optimizing. Don't worry about it going viral. Don't worry about the stats. Don't worry about any of those things. Just copy and paste it onto those other places so that you can rest at night knowing that you're publishing content and that you're creating your personal brand and that you're being everywhere. So more than be everywhere though, I would recommend the strategy to be more like copy and paste. And so maybe it's Instagram. Do the heck out of your Instagram, and every story you post, make sure it goes to and every story you post, make sure it goes to Facebook automatically. And then when it goes to Facebook, make sure you go and take that story and put it over on TikTok because there's story on there and on Snapchat. Sometimes I start on Snapchat because it's the easiest way for me to create it. And then I'm going to download it, post it to Instagram, and it goes to my Facebook story automatically. And Facebook is still my platform that I focus on and that I start everything with. And so I need to make sure that that content gets funneled over there. So maybe you're live streaming on a platform. Take that video and make sure that you download it and put it on the platform that you're focused on. If LinkedIn is your thing, make all of your content LinkedIn native, make it engineered for LinkedIn and, of course, for starting conversations, because there's no point in posting content unless that content is there to help you start conversations. I could talk for hours on that concept, and I wish I understood that sooner in my journey because it would have been a different ballgame. And so a lot of you guys are posting content, and you're posting it for more of, I feel like I need to post content, or I want to, when you think about it, have my ego wants to feel good and be the face out there, but it's not driving your bank account forward because it's not creating conversations. So back to LinkedIn. Make your content work and convert really well for what works on LinkedIn, okay? And then take that and copy and paste it to Facebook, copy and paste it to a post on YouTube, because you can do posts on YouTube, and paste it to the other places, but make LinkedIn your home. Make LinkedIn, when you're doing your prospecting, the place you start out and the place you're trying to send everyone. And the more you can engineer all of your content, platforms, sites, and all of your public visibility to be pointing at LinkedIn, the more powerful it's going to grow. And then one day you could take your LinkedIn and say, hey, I'm over on Instagram now doing this exclusive thing over there. Go and follow me. And then you'll have maybe tens of thousands of people who see that, and you're going to get a couple thousand followers the first day you're very active on Instagram, or insert platform here. And so if you go from platform to platform, you never get to experience what that compounding is like. And so in order to do that, hit 15K 3 months in a row is my advice. And then you can simply copy and paste, which I think is a far better strategy than be everywhere, especially for online coaches here in 2023 and beyond. So that's my thoughts on be everywhere, guys. Is it the right thing? Is it still sage advice here in 2023? I think it's a little bit old and outdated. And I think a better strategy is focus on one platform to $1 million and copy and paste everywhere else, and give yourself the peace and calm of knowing that you don't have to focus on those, right? Let that weight fall off of your shoulders and just focus on building one, because it's way easier to put, as Warren Buffett says, all of your eggs in one basket and just watch that basket. In the next episode of Client by Client, I'm going to be sharing with you what to do and what pitfalls to avoid if you want to book more sales calls and have more calls on your calendar. So be sure to come back tomorrow and check in for that one. Whenever you are ready, here are a few ways I can help you grow your online business. Coaches, if you're managing your leads from the inbox and from social media, you're messing up and you're losing money in the cracks. And this is why I made GetBookedCRM for you. To get your free copy, while it is still free, all you have to do is comment or message me the letters CRM. And I'll share with you exactly where to go to get a link, along with a little training on how to use it so that you can get leads and close them into clients in half the time. Second, join my free group for online coaches. I've got almost 1,000 coaches over in a free community where I share my best resources, share weekly trainings. You get access to me and them and everyone. You know, when the tide rises, what is it? What is the actual quote? Hang on. All ships rise in a high tide. I built a high tide for you to come and ride off of our coattails and our waves, so to say, so that you can propel your business forward faster. Just message me or comment the word group or search Leverage Coach on Facebook. Would love to have you in. Lastly, become my next success story. I'm getting a couple coaches together this month to implement my methods for getting a minimum of 15K of new clients or doubling your online client roster over the next 30, 60, 90 days. But I'm very picky about who I work with. So this is only for you if you are a relationship-focused coach who puts the money ahead. Sorry. So this is only for you if you're a relationship-focused coach who always puts the person ahead